everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see all of you. I would love to see your faces. If you feel like coming on camera, that would be fabulous. Hey, Catherine, good to see you. Welcome. Nice to see you, Peggy. Love to see you come on camera if possible. Uh, Super excited to be here with you. I cannot believe we're already, what, January 11th. Like, it already feels like half of 2023 is gone. It's insane how like so much has happened in such a short amount of time. I'm super, super excited to be here with you all today. This is one of my favorite topics, letting go with ease. We're going to do things a little bit differently today because I don't know if you can notice, but I'm actually standing. I'm not sitting today. So I'm not going to be taking notes like I usually do. I take notes normally on what you guys share for why you're here. So instead, what I want to do is I want to have you guys put in the chat, why are you here? What are you hoping to get out of today? So, because once you put it in the chat, then I don't have to write it down. It gets downloaded to my computer. So go ahead and just type in the chat. What are you hoping to get out of today? Why are you here? What do you want to learn about the whole letting go process? What are some of your biggest challenges? Whatever you want to put, what are you hoping to get out of being here today? What made you say yes to being here? What made you want to show up and spend part of your Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it is, Wednesday afternoon? The days are blurring into each other. For those of you just coming on, LC and Amur, and there's Mandy, but she can't hear me yet. We're putting it into the chat. What are you hoping to get out of today? Why are you here? What about letting go with ease interested you? What is your struggle that you're having with letting go that you need support with? So go ahead and pop it in the chat today. For those of you that come to my workshops often, it's going to be a little bit different today. Normally I open it up for sharing and I can hear you, but today I am standing and not taking notes. So I'm going to have you put it in the chat so I don't have to write it all down. So Catherine, she wants to deal with debt. What else are you guys here for? What are you hoping to learn being here on the Letting Go with Ease workshop? What about letting go with ease was like, oh, that's a workshop that I need to be in. I'm going to spend my afternoon or evening or wherever you are in the world learning about how to let go. So let's get it in the chat. I want to see, what are you doing here? What are you hoping to get out today? Decluttering for 1.25 years, but still very muddled inside. Yes, yes, you want ease. Get it. I totally get it. And one of the biggest things that I want for you all to have, that I want for you all to experience is for you to be so excited about letting go and the organization process that you actually find yourself needing to stop yourself. Like I was someone who I didn't bother. I was attached to everything. I wasn't letting go of anything. I wasn't willing to look at anything. And what has shifted is that I find that in my free time, all I want to do is purge and let go of stuff. And what starts to happen is like all of a sudden, like 8 o'clock at night. Now, for you guys that don't know, I'm in bed between 8 and 10 because I get up super early. And so 8 o'clock at night, I'll get this wild hair across my butt and be like, oh, I want to go purge something. I want to go start looking at stuff. And then I'm like, whoa, if I start doing that right now, I'm going to be up all night and I'm not going to go to sleep. So I want you all to experience that level of excitement and that level of ease about the whole process because it gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. It doesn't have to be this stressful, overwhelming process. Let's see what's going on in the chat. All right, I'm attracted to the ease concept, Mandy says, relative to stuff and attachment. Yes, it gets to be easy, Mandy. And you've made so much progress. I absolutely love hearing everything that's shifted for you. Kathy is here to support me. Oh, I love you and everyone and reinforce her intention to release and declutter with ease and grace. Yes, Kathy has been practicing the techniques on her own and getting amazing, amazing results and keeping the clutter from coming back. Yes, yes, yes. Elsie's here for the paper clutter. Love it. Letting go with ease. Got a couple more people that have just jumped on. So for those of you that are just jumping on, what we're doing, hey, Teresita, good to see you. For those of you that are just jumping on, what we're doing right now is I want to know, what are you hoping to get out of today? What do you like? What do you want to learn about? What is your challenges with letting go? Just put it in the chat. What are you here for? What are you hoping to get out of today so I can support you? I want to know, why are you here? What made you say yes to spending part of your afternoon or evening or morning, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, to come hang out with me and learn about this whole letting go process and motivation, getting tax records sorted? Yes, 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 yes. And the motivation, the motivation. So go ahead and put it in the chat. I want to hear from everyone. We got a nice small group today. So go ahead and get it in the chat. What are you doing here? What made you say yes to being here? What are you hoping to get out of today? Maybe what is the hardest thing for you to actually let go of? What is the biggest challenge you have when it comes to letting go? Emer says, holding on to too much grief, yeah, and fear. I wish to let that go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else experience grief and fear in the room? I know I do. I know there's layers of it and layers of it and layers of it. I'll experience some of it, and then life goes on and then new layers come up. That onion peeling, right? Because we're never truly done. If you think you're done, we're never done. Even the clutter expert still has all kinds of inner clutter. It may not be on the outside with physical stuff, but the inner clutter, that's there's always going to be stuff there because we're human and we're never done. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anybody else want to put it in the chat? What are you hoping to get out of today? What are you doing here? Why are you here? How can I support you? The whole reason why I want to put this workshop on is I really want to just demystify the whole letting go process. I find when I'm talking to my clients, it's like they don't even want to bother looking. They have all these stories that they tell themselves about, oh, I can't let go, I can't do this, or I have a hard time letting go, all these stories. And so I really want to just demystify the process and simplify it and make it effortless and fun, because it gets to be effortless and fun. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be like taking molasses and trying to get it to go uphill in the middle of January. Anybody feel like that when you're trying to get organized, trying to declutter? It's like, oh my God, you got to drag yourself. You're forcing yourself, right? It doesn't have to be that way. Teresita said she wants to make room for her intentions and goals to happen. Building an ADU. My clutter feels like it stifles me. Can't move. Yes. It acts like a dam. It totally blocks the flow of abundance from coming into your life. 100%. It's totally stifling. I love that you used that word. And I just really want you to leave here feeling empowered, that you have the confidence to really get free from clutter once and for all in your life and just have so much fun in the process. It gets to be absolutely fun and it gets to be effortless. Anybody want it to be effortless? Yeah. Anybody want it to be fun? Anybody tired of it being stressful and overwhelming? Yeah. Awesome. 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 All right. So what I want to cover today, a couple of things that I'm going to cover is really about the challenges of letting go that you experience, what it's really going to take from you to make letting go effortless and fun, because it does require you. You get to do some work here, right? And I'm going to share with you a simple process to make the whole idea of letting go, like totally demystify it and make it effortless and fun. Does that sound good? Does that sound good for everyone? Awesome. All right, so here's what you're going to need. You're going to need, if you like to take notes, you're going to want a paper and some pen. A pen and paper, said that backwards. Talking a little backwards today. So if you like to take notes, get a pen and paper. I'm going to ask for your commitment to be present for this workshop. No distractions. Turn off your notifications on your phone, turn your ringer off, put it on do not disturb. It's an hour out of your life, okay? I would love for you to be on camera. In order for your transformation to happen, you get to be present for it. You get to show up. And I get it if you're in a place where you can't. I've been on plenty of Zoom workshops where I couldn't turn on my camera or it'd be really distracting because I was driving or something like that. But if you can, no matter what you're doing, this is a safe space. This is a safe environment. We have a great community here. I would love for you to be on camera and be present for your transformation. Now, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to go grab 3 to 5 things that you have been avoiding making a decision about. Okay? Are you ready? Doesn't matter what these things are, but you're going to go and grab 3 to 5 things that you've been avoiding making a decision about. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Let me set my little timer here. You're going to get 2 minutes to go get your stuff. You're going to get 3 to 5 things that you've been avoiding making a decision about. Doesn't matter what they are, keep it simple. But you're going to go get 3 to 5 things. It could be 3 to 5 pieces of paper. It could be whatever's in the junk drawer. Whatever it is, you're going to go get 3 to 5 things that you've been avoiding making a decision about. Are you ready? Get set and go. Time starts now. You have 2 minutes to go pick out 3 to 5 things that you have been avoiding making decisions about. Let's get the Jeopardy music going. Do, 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 do. I never remember to actually play music in the background for this part. I'll be more prepared next time. Oh, somebody decided they don't want to go get 3 to 5 things. We lost somebody. You're going to get 3 to 5 things that you've been avoiding making decisions about, and we're going to address those later. 3 to 5 things that you have been avoiding making decisions about. You have less than a minute and a half to go. You can get back early as well. You don't have to take the full 2 minutes. We could get started even earlier if you're back in time, but 3 to 5 things that you have been avoiding making decisions about. Okay? 3 to 5 things. What are those 3 to 5 things going to be? What are those 3 to 5 things going to be? All right, we'll give you less than about 45 seconds to go. Waiting for Ann and Mandy and Pat. Emer's back. Is it Emer or Emmer? How do you pronounce your name? You can come off mute so I can hear you.
Emer.
Emer. Okay, great. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, Mandy's back. We lost Kathy. I think she lost her internet signal because I know she wouldn't be avoiding this part. All right, I think we're just waiting for Anne. About 10 seconds to go. Anne, what are your 3 to 5 items going to be? What are your 3 to 5 items going to be? There she is. All right, looks like, oh, we just lost Mandy again. And the timer says the time is up. All right, looks like we got everybody back. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So just set those aside for now. We're going to come back to those later, but I wanted to make sure that you have everything that you need. Again, be present, no distractions, turn off your notifications, don't text during this process. It's an hour out of your life. Turn off, put it on do not disturb, whatever you need to do so that you can just fully be present and be here for this process. Because if you really want letting go to be easy, you get to pay attention. You get to listen, you get to learn. And if you don't, it's going to keep being the same thing over and over again. And who wants to have Groundhog Day over and over and over again, right? You want something to be different? You came here because you want something to be different, right? So you get to be different. If you want it to be different, you get to be different. All right, so letting go with ease. Before we dive in, why the heck should you even listen to me? What do I know about letting go? What do I know about this clutter thing, right? For those of you that are new to my community, don't know much about me, I was the cluttered, messy kid. You could not walk in my entire room. The floor was completely covered and there wasn't any pathways. You know, other people say, "Oh, I got these pathways that I can get through." I was talking to a client the other day and we were on a coaching call and her and her husband had to like pause because they needed to like give someone the right of way in order to get through the pathway because that's the way the paths are in their house. Like someone had to literally stop so the other person could get by because that's how it is. I didn't even have pathways. I knew how to get from the door to my bed and the door to my desk and the door to my closet. But if you tried to walk in my room and get anywhere, you were pretty much taking your own life in your hand. You'd probably fall and break your neck, more than likely. Now, I didn't just have stuff all over the floor. Like, it wasn't just cluttered, it wasn't just messy. Like, I had trash on the floor. Like, I didn't care about what my environment looked like. I was fine living in chaos and living in filth. I was absolutely fine living like that. But what I didn't realize at the time is that the outside is only a mirror of the inside. And on the inside, at such a young age already, I was littered with clutter, what I call the inner clutter, which is repressed emotions or unprocessed emotions from traumas and losses we experience. And if you haven't had a big, hairy trauma in your life, like sexual abuse or assault or neglect or something like that, just the fact that you came out of the birth canal from that nice, cozy, warm womb and you were born as a human, that in itself is traumatic. That alone is a traumatic experience. So you don't need a big, hairy trauma to have unprocessed emotions. Okay, so just being born human qualifies you. Coming out of that nice, cozy, warm womb into the bright lights, having the doctors probe you and stick you with needles and do all that fun stuff that they do nowadays is traumatic enough. So it's all the inner clutter is unprocessed emotions from traumas and losses. And anybody lose like a best friend when you were a little kid, they moved away and you lost touch or something like that. I mean, that's a loss that you experience. Parents separating, things like that. So it's the unprocessed emotions from trauma and loss. We also inherit a belief system from our whoever's raising us, whether it's parents or grandparents or whether we're in foster care or whatever, from 0 to 8, we don't have a filter. So whatever people tell us is what we believe and we take it on. So anybody here like, you know, don't get too big for your britches, or money doesn't grow on trees, or children should be seen and not heard. All of those stories begin to act as programming and they become a little box that we live in. So some of the inner clutter is not just the unprocessed emotions, but that limiting programming that we adopt growing up because we have no filter. It's just we adopt it. And then through life, when we have experiences, we accumulate judgments and resentments and fears and all of that stuff. And so I was littered with all of that at a really young age because my parents, they separated when I was 4 years old. And so what kid doesn't think that that's their responsibility, right? Your parents separate, it's your fault. If you were never born, they would stay together. It's all your fault that they didn't work out. And then by the age of 8 years old, I experienced three different sexual traumas, three traumatic sexual experiences by three different perpetrators. One of them happened to be my older brother. He was 5 years older than me, and one of them was my older brother. And that trauma perpetuated because when I was 15 years old, he actually he went through hell. We just had different moms, same dad, but he wound up having a much different life trajectory and he was placed in foster care. He was abused growing up. All pretty much he knew was abuse and abandonment. And there came a point in his life where he actually started to feel guilty about what he had done to me. And he asked me flat out if it had an effect on me. And it took a while for me to be able to tell him the truth because I had a lot of fear. But I did tell him the truth that yes, yeah, it did affect me. And it was terrifying to tell him. And at that point in my life, I was actually living with him. And he basically told me that he would have my belongings packed for me and I could come pick them up tomorrow. I was going to go stay at a friend's house. And when I went to pick up those belongings, I was walking up the stairs, this long staircase to my brother's doorway. And there was a sign on the door, and it said, "Door is open, come in." And I didn't think anything of it. I'm just walking up the stairs, going to get my stuff, and I opened the door, and that's where I found my brother. He had hanged himself, and he pretty much left himself, his body, for me to discover. And he left a suicide note that said, "I have sinned. I'm sorry." And then the rest of the suicide note left all of his belongings to me, a cluttered mess. I was already cluttered, couldn't clear my own room, couldn't make decisions about my own stuff. And my brother left everything he owned to me. And needless to say, that was what almost put the nail in my coffin. I already didn't really want to be on the planet in a body at that point in my life with everything that I experienced. I didn't care if I lived or died. And so my plan was to do exactly what he did and take my own life. My school, however, saw better, and they saw that it was best that I didn't attend school anymore. And they said that you don't get to come back until you receive some intensive therapy because we consider you a danger to yourself and to those around you. And so, 15 years old, what that looks like going to intensive therapy is going to spend the next year and a half of my life living in a residential treatment center for adolescents, where we lived on campus, and then we walked up a little walkway and went to school on campus. And then we walked back to the house. And that was the extent of my life, with lots of therapy, group therapy, individual therapy for the next year and a half. But while I was living there, I was introduced to yoga and mindfulness. And ultimately, what that taught me was how to be willing to look. Be willing to look at the inner clutter that had been accumulating in my life and to stop running from it. To be willing to bring my presence to my experience. Now, what I'll first say is I wasn't trying to get organized. I wasn't like you being like, oh, I see this workshop for letting go with ease and I have this trouble letting go. Let me go show up. Let me find out what I can learn. I wasn't trying to get organized. When I went into that treatment program, I was trying to get off the planet. And so the first thing that happened as a result of being willing to look was that I got my zest for life back. I actually wanted to be on the planet. And I realized I had a purpose, that my story, that my experiences would someday help others. But what the most magical thing that happened that still blows me away, and it blows me away every time I see it happen in my clients, is that this kid who was not trying to get organized, had no desire to get organized, as a result of being willing to look at the inner clutter, started to spontaneously and effortlessly create order in my environment. And I didn't have to plan it. I didn't have to schedule 15 minutes a week, once a week, or whatever. I didn't have to do any of that. It happened spontaneously and effortlessly without even trying. Anybody want to be able to get organized without forcing yourself, without trying, without scheduling it, without any of that? Yeah. It all comes from a willingness to look, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But that's a little background of what I know about clutter, what I know about the process, and why I'm so passionate to share with you what I want to share with you, because it doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be hard. No matter how many years this has been going on, it gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. It gets to be effortless. Okay? So, how many of you out there tell yourself these stories? If you can relate, just raise your hand. I have a hard time letting go. Anybody tell yourself that story, right? I don't know what to keep or what to get rid of. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know where to start, right? I can't make decisions. Yeah. What if I might need it someday? What if somebody else needs it someday? I need to hang on to it just in case somebody else needs it. Because somebody's going to come to me and I'm going to need this thing and I'm going to have it, right? Afraid you'll make the wrong decision. You'll get rid of something and you might need it. You might be wrong, right? Maybe you want to hang on to it because, oh, I'm going to craft with that someday. I'm going to create a scrapbook. I got a project I'm going to make, right? Yeah. Or my information hoarders out there. What about you? It's information. It's good information. What if I need to go find it someday? What if I need this information, right? Yeah. Totally get it. Totally get it. Those stories are just stories that we tell ourselves, right? There are these stories that we tell ourselves in our head, and ultimately what they do is they keep us from being willing to look. Because the truth of the matter is, all clutter accumulates in your life because of an unwillingness to look at it. The piles accumulating are just from an unwillingness to look at it. And so, what happens when you become unwilling to look? And when you're unwilling to look, what are you not doing? You're not making decisions, right? And so, making decisions is a muscle that you need to build over time, right? So, if you're not making decisions and you haven't been making decisions, that muscle's in atrophy, right? It's weak. It's like never been used. It's shriveled up and it's got no strength to it, right? You don't use it, you lose it. And so the way to build that back up is to start making decisions little by little. But it comes from a willingness to look. Being willing to look is the secret because all clutter accumulates because of an unwillingness to look at it. But here's the kicker. You heard me mention in my story that the outside is only a mirror of the inside, right? And we all know the law of gravity. We may not agree with it, but if I jump off a building, more than likely I'm not going to survive. If I throw a pen in the air, it's going to come back down. It's not going to float. Okay, so gravity is always in operation. Whether I agree with it or not, it's a law in the universe. Well, there's other laws in operation in the universe, and one of them is the principle of correspondence. And it states, as above, so below. And what that translates to is, as within, so without. Anybody ever clear off a surface, organize your closet, or get the garage so you can park the car in it, and then in no time the clutters come back? Anybody have the clutter come back? Right? That's going from the outside in. It's putting a band-aid on the problem. So it gets to happen from the inside out. And so you heard in my story that I became willing to look at what was going on inside of me, and I spontaneously started to create order in my life. I wasn't like, oh, I should really get organized and go hire an organizer or hire a coach to help me. I started to become willing to look within, and all of it happened effortlessly. And I started to have fun in the process. And so, the way to have the lasting change, to keep the clutter from coming back, is for it to happen from the inside out, not the outside in. You can clear the surface, you can organize your closet, you can park the car in garage all day long. But if you're doing it from the outside in, the clutter will inevitably come back. Or it works the same with weight loss. You can go on the diet and you can lose some weight, but if you don't address the inside, the weight comes back, or the toxic relationship comes back, just a different face, same relationship, new face, or you get out of debt and the debt comes back. All of the external manifestations of clutter will just keep coming back if you don't address the root. And so the only way to have that lasting change is to become willing to look, and it starts from the inside out. And what I teach my clients how to actually begin to be willing to look at what's going on inside is a process that I call allowing the now. ATN for short. It's like an ATM deposit. It's called allowing the now. And it's exactly as it sounds. It's allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. Because there's only two states that we can ever be in. Every experience that you will have can be reduced down into two states. You're either contracted and resisting, whether you're pushing away and avoiding, or you're hanging on to something. That's resistance, that's contraction, that's blocking the flow, right? Or there's the state of allowing, when we're open, we're accepting, we're allowing things to be exactly as they are. When we can be in that state of allowing is when we start to create the space. When we're in that state of contraction, we're blocking the flow and causing the clutter to keep accumulating, okay? So what is allowing the now? It's allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. And if any of you are afraid, like, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't want to dig up any hairy trauma, I don't want to deal with uncomfortable emotions, I'm afraid of what I'm going to find, let me reassure you that you are never given more than you can handle. You don't need to go digging for any hairy traumas, big traumas. You don't need to dig for anything. The secret, it's so super simple. The secret is in your willingness to look. When you become willing to look, everything begins to shift. So I had a client that I was working with recently, and she was terrified to go into this one room in her house. We had done a lot of work, but this one room in her house, she was absolutely terrified. So terrified that I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, I just have to let you know I've already had a cocktail. I don't even know if I can do this room. And my response to her was, the only requirement is for you to become willing to look. That's all I want you to do, is be willing to look and make the decisions. Doesn't matter what decision you make, it's about your willingness to look. And this room was full of antique ornaments, like Christmas ornaments. She wanted to decorate, I don't know, maybe 20 trees. That's probably how many ornaments we had. And then there was also like a bridal shop. I mean, I can't count how many wedding dresses were in there because she was going to craft with them and do something with them someday, right? But you couldn't even open the door to this room, and she was terrified to go in there. But because she became willing to look, I wound up taking at least 6 or 7 truckloads of stuff to the local nonprofit because she was willing to look. And the second day that we worked on it, she didn't need the cocktail. So the second day we came back, she was willing to look and she didn't need the cocktail. It all comes from a willingness to look. That's the key. The willingness is the key. And the allowing the now practice is the looking on the inside. When you become willing to look on the inside, you actually are making space inside of yourself every time you become willing to look. How does that happen? So for those of you that need to know how things work, my analyzers out there absolutely love you. So we know that like science has proven that everything is energy. So everything has a vibrational frequency. So some things vibrate at a high vibration like love, and other things vibrate at a low vibration like anger and rage and resentment, right? And then we know from math class that a positive and a negative cancel each other out, right? So if we have a positive and we have a negative, it cancels each other out. So think about it this way. Your willingness is the positive. It's the higher frequency energy. And then the inner clutter is what's there. You don't need to find anything. You don't need to go digging for it, but just your willingness to look, just that willingness to look starts to cancel out lower frequency vibrations. And what starts to happen is that you're releasing this lower frequency energy and literally raising your vibration. So right now, whatever clutter you got going on around you, you're a vibrational match to it, right? But as you start becoming willing to look, You gradually raise your vibration little by little by little by little. And what happens is the gap between you and the vibration of the clutter gets big enough that it causes you to spontaneously take action. And what that starts to look like is you don't even remember you're doing it, or you're not even conscious that you're doing it. I actually will catch my clients when we're talking on the phone that they don't even realize that they're decluttering spontaneously. It's like you go to the junk drawer and you just start letting go of stuff in the junk drawer, or you decide to go to storage, but you didn't plan on it. Like you just start looking at stuff and letting stuff go. Because what's happening is your vibration is shifting and getting higher than that of the clutter, so you can no longer tolerate it anymore. And so instead of forcing yourself, it's a vibrational thing. It's just like, oh, it's time to do this. It's like, oh, this is time now. And so it's effortless and it's not forced. Okay. And so the allowing the now is the willingness to look on the inside. How do you do allowing the now? Anybody out there like, I can't meditate. I don't meditate. I can't quiet my mind down, right? Don't worry about it. If you say you can't meditate, this is perfect for you. If you can't quiet your mind down, this is perfect for you. If you tell yourself, because I'm not into labels, but if you tell yourself that you have ADD and you can't sit still and you can't quiet your mind down, this is perfect for you. Okay. So allowing the now is allowing the moment to be exactly as it is and being willing to show up and just witness and allow. Remember, we're either resisting or allowing whatever is there to be. And so we have some things that we can notice. We can notice the thoughts that we're thinking. We can notice the feelings, the emotions that come up as we're sitting. We can notice bodily sensations, maybe our butt sitting in the chair, our feet on the floor, or our hands in our lap, right? Or maybe we feel hungry, or maybe we feel tired. There's sounds that we hear in the environment. There's smells that we smell. If your eyes are open, you may see things, right? Whatever's happening in the moment, the best part about this practice is you get to let your mind go to whatever is calling your attention. If a physical sensation is calling your attention, you're just becoming aware of it. If your thoughts are racing, or you're planning, or you're worrying, or whatever your thoughts are doing, you're just like, oh, I'm thinking, I'm worrying. You're acknowledging it, you're allowing it. There's no need to change anything because nothing's broken, nothing needs to be fixed, okay? You're just allowing what's happening in the moment to be exactly as it is. Who knows the game Whack-A-Mole, where the little moles pop up and you got the mallet and you're trying to bop them on the head? Allowing the now is like Whack-A-Mole. You get to let your attention bounce all over the place. You're like whacking that mole, whatever's calling your attention. I see you, I see you, I see you. That's it. You're just allowing the moment to be exactly as it is, okay? So anybody have 5 minutes in the day that they can do this practice? 5 minutes, all it takes. Even if you don't have 5, you could do 2. I had a client start with 2. It's not like you need to sit for 30 minutes. I pretty much do 5 minutes a day. I've done 5 minutes a day for years, and that's pretty much it to generate all the results that I generate in my life, okay? So we all agree that we got 5 minutes. So you literally are just going to take 5 minutes a day. I do it in the morning. I just find a place in my morning routine that I can do it. So it's not a specific time. It's just at a specific spot in my morning routine. So I brush my teeth, I make my coffee, drink my water, and then I go sit down and I do my 5 minutes, and then I read, and then I do my email and banking and all that fun stuff. It's at a certain point in my morning routine. If you feel like you don't have time to add the 5 minutes, you can do this while you're doing something else, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, washing the dishes, petting your dog. If you're nursing, you can do it while you're nursing. I had a client who had twins, and she would do it when she was nursing, because you get to connect to your body and be present with what's happening in the moment. It's just being willing to look at what's happening in the moment, okay? So it starts with looking at what's going on within, and then you start by looking at what's going on out here, looking at the stuff outside. Okay, normally it'll happen spontaneously, but I know those of you out there, they're like, oh, I need a plan. I need to start working on it. I can't wait for the spontaneity to happen. So for those of you that are like that and you just want to get started, you get to be willing to make the time to look at the stuff, okay? So start with what feels good. Don't set yourself up to fail. Start with a small amount of time. If you haven't been doing anything for years, don't be like, oh, I'm going to spend an hour every day, 7 days a week, and I'm going to work on it. No, you're just setting yourself up to fail. Set a small, manageable goal, like 15 to 30 minutes once a week first. You can always do more, okay? Right? But it's about you keeping your word with yourself and not breaking your word. So 15 minutes to 30 minutes once a week to start. Then when you hit that goal and you're doing it successfully, then add another day, and then add another day, and then add another day. Now, here are some tips when you're doing this process. Start small. Anybody were like, oh, I'm going to do the whole garage, or I'm going to tackle my entire closet this weekend. And then you go all Marie Kondo and you rip everything out and you throw it on the bed. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, fuck, what do I do with all of this now? Right? You get overwhelmed. It's crazy. And then you're like, screw this. Let me just throw it all back, shove it in the closet, shove it back in the garage. And then it's 10 times worse than when you started. Then you're beating yourself up because you didn't do it. And then you have even more resistance to the organizing process and letting go, right? So let's not set yourself up to fail. My rule of thumb is 1 square foot at a time. And I don't mean a square foot area 6 feet tall, okay? Stay in the camera here. Not square foot 6 feet tall. It's more like a cubic foot. So everybody know like a book box from Home Depot when you're moving, the 1.5 cube box kind of thing? Like really nothing more than that. Start small, address what's in the box or in the square foot area, and when you're done, you're going to have a square foot of space that you didn't have, and you're going to see results, which when you see the clear space, it's going to give you that dopamine hit that like you did it and you have space. And when you get that dopamine hit, it's going to give you the motivation and the energy to want to keep going. Okay. Now, here's the thing about the stuff. It's all about making decisions and strengthening the decision-making muscle. Okay. I don't care what your decision is. Doesn't matter if you keep it or let it go. You are not going to let go of everything all at once. It has been accumulating for however many years it's been accumulating for you, and only you know how long that is. You are not going to go through it all and just decide to let it all go at once. You will let go of a little bit, and then the next time you look at it, you'll let go of a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. But you will not let go of everything all at once. So the most important thing is become willing to look. When you become willing to look, you are going to let go of way more than you thought you would have in the first place. You are going to shock yourself by how much you actually do let go of when you look. Because one of the stories that you tell yourself is you know everything that's in that box, or you know everything that's in that space. And then you go look and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Oh, I still have that. Oh, where did that come from? And you find all this stuff that you had no idea was there. Like my client with the room of ornaments, she thought the whole room was full of ornaments. She didn't realize there was a bridal shop, and then there was a bookstore, and then there was all these other things that were also in the room. So it's your willingness to look that is the secret sauce. It all comes down to your willingness to look. So start small and then make a decision. Doesn't matter the decision. So I don't want you to beat yourself up for the things that you keep. I want you to celebrate what you let go of, okay? You're building the muscle. Every time you make a decision, you're building that muscle. So it's not about what you let go of or what you keep. It's about the fact that you're making decisions. And this is what's going to make it really easy, okay? I have a 5-second rule. What does that mean? If you're holding an item and you have not made a decision in 5 seconds, you are keeping it for now. No judgment. Don't make it complicated. Move on. It's about learning to make decisions and learning to make them quickly. Okay? So 5-second rule. That's it. If you're still holding it and you can't make a decision, you don't know what to do with it, you're keeping it for now. Move on to the next thing. Okay? and focus on what you actually let go of, not what you keep. And you are going to be super shocked when you are done. On average, you will have let go of 30 to 60% of the stuff without even trying. And it won't even be hard decisions for you to make. It'd be super easy because you made them in 5 seconds, right? Okay. And just be willing to meet yourself where you are. Sometimes it takes years for you to be willing to let go of stuff. So back in 1998, I had all these books on a topic that I was super passionate about. I swore that I would never get rid of these books. Never, ever, ever get rid of these books. And I carried them with me for years. And I think it's over a little over a year ago now. I found myself sitting in my chair, looking at my bookcase, and all of a sudden I wasn't planning an organizing session. I just looked at my bookcase and it was like, oh, it's time for you to go now. That's over 20 years I was carrying those books, looking at them over and over and over again, not willing to let them go. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, I'm ready now. You will let go of what you're ready to let go of only when you're ready to let go of it. Anybody that tries to force you to let go of something you're not ready to, stay far away from them. They are only going to cause you more harm. It's important for you to meet yourself where you are. Start building your letting go muscle. Trust your ability to let things go. Trust that the world is not going to end when you let something go, and build your confidence and your trust with yourself. Okay? All right. So, who's ready to put this into practice? Who's ready to do something with this? All right. So, first and foremost, we're going to do a couple minutes of the allowing the now practice, and then we're going to address those 3 to 5 items that you brought. So, for those of you that are not on camera, if you are driving, please do not close your eyes. Keep your eyes on the road. Stay present with what you're doing. But for those of you that are in the room with me right now, just go ahead and close your eyes and just notice your breathing. Don't do anything to change it. Just notice your body as it's inhaling and notice your body as it's exhaling. Just get connected to your body. Your body and your breath are always in the present moment. It's only your mind that wanders. And just notice what it feels like to be breathing in your body. Notice where you feel your breath. Do you breathe in through your nose? Or are you a mouth breather? Nothing to change, nothing to fix. Just notice. And begin to allow your attention to go to whatever's calling it. Maybe you're thinking in your head, she's freaking crazy. What is this 5 minutes of allowing the now going to do? Allow whatever's coming up for you to be present. Maybe you're noticing a sensation in your body you've never felt before. Maybe you're feeling your body for the first time. Maybe you're noticing an emotion come up. Allow whatever it is to simply be. There's nothing to change. There's nothing to fix. Simply allow the moment to be exactly as it is. If your mind is racing or judging or doubting, you're feeling sensations in your body, you're hearing sounds, whatever you're noticing, just acknowledge it and allow it. Allow everything to be exactly as it is. You cannot do this process wrong. All that's required is your willingness to look, your willingness to do this practice. The willingness is the secret sauce. It is literally the keys to the kingdom. If you get nothing else out of this workshop but this practice and you do it consistently, you will not recognize your life in 6 months. I can guarantee you that. Now bring your attention back to your breathing. Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. One more deep breath in and let it out. And when you feel ready, go ahead and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. That's contagious, Catherine. I see you. Love it. Nice and relaxed. That wasn't a full 5 minutes, but I believe that was about 4. So if you survive 4, you can handle 5. So nobody died. Everybody's still there, right? Gotcha. You're all still with me. Okay. So now you have the 3 to 5 items that you've gathered. I'm going to set a timer. But here's the deal. If you have the 5-second rule, and you have 5 items, you really only need 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to make decisions about all of the items that you decided on. Okay, so are you ready? You have everything in front of you. Get ready. Remember, one item at a time. You're going to look at it and make your decision. Am I keeping this or am I letting it go? If you can't make up your mind in 5 seconds, what are you doing with it? You're keeping it, okay? All right, get ready, get set, go. 60 seconds, one item at a time. Look at it, make your decision. Am I keeping this or am I letting it go? And then the only other decision is if you're letting it go, can it be donated? Is it usable or does it need to be recycled or shredded or whatever the other decision is? But first and foremost, am I keeping it or am I letting it go? And then on to the next item. 5 seconds each. We should be done in 30 seconds. All right, we got 30 seconds left to go. Next item, are we keeping it or are we letting it go? Simple as that, just simple decision, that willingness to look at what you've got and make a decision. Who cares what the decision is? It's about making a decision. We've got about 10 seconds left to go. How many more items you got? Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right. There we go. 5 items, 3 to 5 items you just made a decision about in 60 seconds. Imagine what you can do in 15 minutes with the 5-second rule. Just becoming willing to look, right? Just by being willing to look. It's all it takes is your willingness to look. That's all that's required. So has what I've shared with you today supported you? Has this been helpful? Has this been supportive? Can you see what's possible for you now? Can you see what's possible for you now? Now, do you feel empowered when you leave here that you're going to be able to take what you've learned and you're going to be able to implement it in your life? Awesome. All right, so what I want you to do right now is I want to hear from you in the chat. I want you to put in the chat, get ready to type, what is it that you've liked the most about what I shared with you today? Like, what hit home the most? What do you like the most about what I shared with you today? So put it in the chat. I want to hear from you. What do we got? 12 of you here, 13 of you here? I want to hear from you. Yes, 13, not including me. So put it in the chat. What did you like best about what I shared with you today? Yeah, not feeling forced to get rid of things, Tanya. Yeah, so glad to see you here, by the way. Being willing. Yes, Catherine, being willing. The willingness is all it takes. Yes, the 5-second rule. It's so super simple. because it's about the repetitions, right? When you go to the gym, if you've never lifted a weight before, you're going to go grab a 50-pound dumbbell. Probably not, right? You're going to grab a lightweight and you're going to do lots of reps. The only way you're going to get stronger is if you do those repetitions. And so that's what this practice is, being willing to look and make decisions. Doesn't matter what the decision is. Yes. Actually doing it, Mandy. Yes. Putting it into practice. Yeah, Emer, it doesn't have to be a large amount of stuff to go through. Just a little goes a long way. So how did this stuff accumulate over the years, right? It didn't come like, and a dump truck just dumped it all at once, unless you've inherited some, people's belongings, and a big chunk comes in at once. But for the most part, it's like the mail comes in, the stuff comes in, you buy something, but it's little by little by little by little, the stuff accumulates. And so it's the same with getting rid of it. There's no magic wand that brought it all in. There's no magic wand that's going to wave it all away. It's going to require you to make decisions about everything. Yes, that can feel daunting, but it doesn't happen overnight. Just becoming willing to look will make it so much easier. And yes, once you do a square foot, it's like then you now have a square foot of space. And how many square feet could you probably do in 15 to 30 minutes if you're using the 5-second rule? Like, how much clear space can you create using the 5-second rule, right? Yeah, the willingness to look, Teresita, the 5-second rule. Ruth felt it was well-rounded, your choice, and doing the now with you. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Yeah, Catherine, building the decision-making muscle. That's what it's all about. It's been in atrophy for years. You've been unwilling to look for years. And so now all that's required is for you to be willing to look. So the only requirement for you to get free from clutter, and not just the physical clutter, the internal clutter, which then manifests in all kinds of other areas. Anybody else have any of the other manifestations? You got carrying some extra weight on the body, you don't have enough time, you're always too busy to do the things that you want. You might be struggling with addictions. Maybe you're in an unhealthy relationship. You bounce from unhealthy relationship to unhealthy relationship. Maybe you're in debt, right? Those are all external manifestations of the same internal condition. And when you become willing to look, not only is the clutter going to get better, but every area of your life is going to improve. For those of you that, I didn't get into it because we have a limited amount of time, but I was almost 170 pounds. I was in a toxic relationship for 12 years. I was a crystal meth addict, crack cocaine addict. I was homeless on the streets of San Diego, had over $50,000 in debt. And all of those issues I have gotten through and healed through this practice, through the allowing the now practice, being willing to look. And so literally that's all it takes is 5 minutes a day, okay? And so the only requirement for you to get free from clutter in every area of your life is the willingness to look. Your presence is required in your life. You get to show up for yourself. All right, so here's what I want you to do. We have a couple minutes left, so here's what you get to do. Become willing to look. Do the allowing the now practice every day. 5 minutes a day. Get into the habit of doing it every day. If you get nothing else out of this workshop, but do 5 minutes a day, in 6 months, you will not recognize your life. I started doing this practice. I've done it off and on throughout my life, but when I don't do it, my life gets really shitty. And I stayed in a toxic relationship for 12 years because I stopped doing it. But 6 months after recommitting to doing this practice, I manifested a $50,000 check, was able to leave the job I was working at and launch my own business. And I've been in business with Decluttering Spaces since. And that was 9 years ago in 2014. And that's just one little thing that's happened from this practice, and so much more. I'm a published author. I have a digital TV show, and so many things just keep happening from this practice alone. And then for those of you that need to schedule the decluttering because you don't trust in the spontaneity, because it will happen when it happens, but for those of you that want to schedule it, go ahead and schedule 15 to 30 minutes once a week to start, and then twice a week when you're hitting your goal. But start small and keep it manageable, okay? Just start small and keep it manageable. All right, so who's ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and afraid of letting go and to start feeling confident in your ability to get out from under all these years of clutter? Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I want to support you. So what I've done is I've opened up my calendar. I have a few appointments today and a few appointments tomorrow so that I can really just support you in taking the next step. This is like a no obligation call. This is just me being in generosity, supporting you. If you were to pay for this call, it's a $497 value, and I'm just going to give it to you for free. Okay, so do you want to know how to get on my calendar? You want to know how to get on my calendar? Okay, this is what you get to do. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. You are going to text me that you're ready. Those who text me that they're ready, I'm going to send you a link to get on my calendar. But you have 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to text me. The link is in my phone number is in the chat. If you want the link to my calendar, then you have 5 minutes to text me. Okay, so you're going to text the word ready to 619-602-3725. How many of you show up for workshops and you get all the information and you feel super motivated, and then when you leave, you go on a good track and you do the stuff for a couple days, you implement, and then you fall off the wagon. And then you forget about everything that you learned and you don't implement, right? You lose the motivation. Well, this call is going to support you in staying motivated, how to stay motivated, how to really implement, and what it's going to take from you so that you can stay on track. Okay, so text the word ready to me at 619-602-3725. I mean, really, what do you have to lose? Like clutter or something? Right? What do you got to lose? Anybody want to lose some clutter? Well, let's not lose it. Let's release it, because when we lose something, it implies it can be found again. And we don't really want it to be found again. And also, those of you that are texting ready, I would love, because I don't have your numbers in my phone, to send me your name after so I know who you are. I'm seeing the text messages come through. So definitely say ready and then say your name. Details, details. But that is my personal cell phone number, by the way. So you now have my personal cell phone number. I am, yes, giving that out to you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, those that are ready, I will send you the link so that you can book a time to get on the call with me. Awesome. And while we're waiting, while we have the 5 minutes, does anybody have questions? You want some support? Do you have any questions you'd like me to answer while we have just about 3 minutes left? Anybody have questions? Just come off mute. We're a small enough group. I can answer any questions. Or if you want to share an aha moment, something that opened up for you today, we can do that as well. We got a couple minutes, so feel free to come off mute, ask me your questions, or share what opened up for you today. Don't be shy. Come off mute. You know who I am. I'll just start calling on people. You know you're in my community. You know how I operate. All right, Pat, let's go. Come off mute. And I love you in blue, Pat. That's such a great color on you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to, now that the holidays are over, I have all of the holiday clutter to take down and put away on top of everything else that needs to be put away in the house. So I just kind of got a stumbling block there. I've stumbled.
Yes, 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 yes. Got it. Well, definitely book a call. Let's get you the support you need. Let's get you through all of that. Any particular question that you have I can support you with?
No, it's just too much stuff and not enough space to store it.
Anybody else have too much stuff and not enough space? I don't think Pat's alone in the room. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great to hear it. Great to hear it. Love it. Appreciate you, Pat. Thank you for sharing. Miss Mandy, any questions? Anything opening up for you today?
No, I'm good. Thank you. It was just
Good.
lovely to catch up. It's like another little dose that keeps the motivation coming along.
Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Good, good, good. All right, we got about a minute to go. Anybody else have questions or comments? If not, I will just let you enjoy the rest of your day. Again, the number is 619-602-3725. Text the word ready and your name, and I will text you back the link to book a time to get on my calendar today and tomorrow. Awesome. Well, you guys rock. I appreciate you. I want you to celebrate you for saying yes to being here, putting it on your calendar, and showing up for yourself. Now stay committed to the allowing the now practice and being willing to look, because the secret is the willingness to look. Become willing to look. That's all that's required. Just become willing to look and the rest will take care of itself. I promise you, because I didn't even want to be on the planet. I didn't want to live. Never mind, clean up my clutter. But because I became willing to look, everything shifted. And I said it happened by accident in the beginning. I was kind of like organized by accident because I wasn't trying. Wasn't trying to get organized. I was trying to get off the planet. And as a result of being willing to look, every area of my life got better. And I want the same for you. I want it to be fun. I want it to be effortless. You get to be in a place where it's like 8 o'clock at night and you have to like put the brakes on because you need to go to bed and you don't have the time to organize. Like I want you to have that level of energy about it, and it gets to be that way. All right, well, the timer's up. That's 5 minutes. I love you all. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Pat yourself on the back for sticking through. And for those of you that sent me a text, I will send you a link in a few minutes. I love you guys. Have an amazing day and stay on my email list for more workshops coming up. I think I'm going to do another one next week on something totally different. So keep your eyes on your email. Love you guys.